On the news, Borno suspends lockdown amidst declining COVID-19 cases. President Buhari meets service chiefs to analyze security challenges. And Burundi expels top WHO staff amid COVID-19 crisis. Many thanks for joining us on News Now on TV360 Nigeria. We begin in Borno State, where the government has indefinitely suspended the lockdown imposed to contain the spread of COVID-19 pandemic. This is despite the state being the sixth worst hit in Nigeria's COVID-19 crisis. The development, however, follows a drop in the number of COVID-19 cases in the state. On Wednesday, no new case was reported, while only 3 were reported on Monday and Tuesday combined. According to the state governments, the ban on religious gatherings has also been lifted, meaning churches and mosques can now resume activities. Meanwhile, public gatherings, especially funeral processions, weddings, naming ceremonies, among others, have been limited to not more than 20 people. And now to the south-south, one of the 5 new cases of coronavirus reported in Delta is dead. According to reports, the patient from Oshimili North local government area of Delta, the State Ministry of Information confirmed that the patient died on Wednesday night after the result of his sample collected tested positive for COVID-19. Delta now has a total of 22 infections, with 6 people discharged and 4 dead. And to some good news, Nigeria's COVID-19 recoveries have passed the 1,000 mark with the recent discharge of 111 more patients across the country. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control confirmed the development in a tweet on Wednesday night. One of the recovered patients is a 98-year-old woman who was treated in Lagos. According to the Lagos State Governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, the woman is the oldest COVID-19 patient recorded in the state. As at Wednesday, May 13th, Nigeria's COVID-19 toll stood at 4,971, of which only 3,737 are active. 6 new deaths were, however, recorded, placing the tally at 164. The Kwara State government has ordered the dismissal of a driver attached to the state COVID-19 response team for neglecting safety protocols and mismanaging a patient. Governor Abdulrahman Abdulrazak gave the order after a viral video showed the driver moving the COVID-19 patient from a building to his ambulance without any protective equipment. In the video, the driver evacuated the patient with the support of some other residents who did not wear a face mask or a hand glove. Governor Abdulrazak, in a statement signed by his chief press secretary, condemned the behavior of the driver, which he described as shoddy, and ordered his immediate dismissal. The governor has also directed that queries be issued to top officials of the state's Ministry of Health for failing to act with the necessary caution and expertise in the handling of the incident. The World Health Organization has warned that the novel coronavirus may never go away, even with the development of a vaccine. In a video conference on Wednesday, WHO Emergencies Director Mike Ryan said the virus might become like measles, which is yet to be eliminated, despite having a vaccine. Almost 300,000 people worldwide are reported to have died from coronavirus, and more than 4.3 million cases recorded.
We have a new virus entering the human population for the first time, and therefore it is very hard to predict when we will prevail over it. What is clear, and I think maybe what Sumia may have been alluding to, is that the current seroprevalence, or the current number of people in our population who've been infected, is actually relatively low. And if you're a scientist and you project forward in the absence of a vaccine and you try and calculate how long is it going to take for enough people to become infected so that this disease settles into an endemic phase, and we may never, and I think it's important to put this on the table, this virus may become just another endemic virus in our communities, and this virus may never go away. HIV has not gone away, but we've come to terms with the virus, and we have found the therapies and we've found the prevention methods, and people don't feel as scared as they did before, and we're offering life to people with HIV, long, healthy lives to people with HIV. And I'm not comparing the two diseases But I think it is important that we're realistic, and I don't think anyone can predict when or if this disease will disappear. We do have one great hope. If we do find a highly effective vaccine that we can distribute to everyone who needs it in the world, we may have a shot at eliminating this virus. But that vaccine will have to be available. It will have to be highly effective. It will have to be made available to everyone, and we will have to use it.
Meanwhile, Burundi has declared WHO Coronavirus Coordinator Walter Mulumbo and 3 other persons persona non grata, directing them to leave the country by Friday. In a letter sent to WHO Africa headquarters, the Burundi Foreign Ministry listed the other officers as Dr. Jean-Pierre Nkata, Communicable Diseases Head, Dr. Ruhana Bismua, and a laboratory expert in the testing for COVID-19, Daniel Tazi. WHO Africa Director Michiduso Moeti on Thursday confirmed the development, saying the health body is in communication with the government of Burundi to clarify and understand the reasoning behind the decision. He, however, said efforts have begun to organize the departure for the affected staff. 8 people at Istanbul Giants Besiktas have tested positive for coronavirus after players and other employees underwent medical checks. The club confirmed this in a statement where it said the tests were conducted on footballers, technical committee members and facility staff. It, however, did not give specific details on who has the virus. The development raises further concerns after the Turkish Football Federation said games in the top league would resume on June 12 after they were suspended in March. Turkey has officially recorded 143,114 cases of the new coronavirus, while 3,952 people have died, according to the health minister on Wednesday. You're still watching news now on TV360 Nigeria. We'll return shortly with more stories. President Muhammadu Buhari has presided over a meeting of the National Executive Council, the National Security Council, with all service chiefs in attendance. Bashir Ahmed, personal assistant to new media to President Muhammadu Buhari, announced this via Twitter, saying the meeting was holding at the council chambers in the State House in Abuja. Ahmed added that President Buhari summoned the meeting over the recent security challenges in Katsina, Nasarawa, Kaduna, and other parts of the country. The federal government has flagged off the National School Feeding Program in Kuje Area Council of Abuja. The program is now called the Modified National Homegrown School Feeding Program. Tunjiri reports that the program was flagged off by the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development on Thursday. Take a listen.
As promised, the federal government kicked off the National School Feeding Program in Kuje Area Council of Abuja today. And just behind me are parents who are here to collect the palliatives on behalf of their children.
The process starts with authenticating of food vouchers which has been given to parents after documentation has been concluded. After the confirmation of the voucher, beneficiaries are to proceed to a waiting tent to collect their entitlement. The program, which is now called Modified Homegrown School Feeding Program, is getting technical support from the World Food Program. Other agencies of government such as the EFCC, ICPC, the Code of Conduct Bureau, and NGOs are also invited to provide extra layers of monitoring.
Hunger is a serious byproduct of crisis, and part of remit, my remit as the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, is to evolve strategies for facilitating humanitarian interventions both nationally and internationally in this. This is a globally accepted means of supporting children to continue to have access to nutrient-rich foods despite disruptions to the traditional channels of school feeding. Beginning today in Abuja, this program will target parents and guardians of children in primary 1 to 3 in public primary schools participating in the program all over the country. A total of 3,131,971 households are targeted for this intervention.
COVID-19 has really been a setback to us. It's caused more hunger, more challenges for the population, and it's in these unprecedented, really difficult times that it's critical that there's the leadership to bring a whole of society approach to address those challenges. And I'm so honored to be representing WFP, also our NGO partners, in support of the ministry's leadership in trying to address in a high quality, effective, timely manner the crisis of hunger caused by COVID-19.
The Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, which is powering the program, says it will use the modified program to collect and verify data with the support of civil society organizations.
I have about 6 children, but 2 are in primary school now. My operation, I still give efforts to government to even provide more than this. Let the children benefit well.
I thought it's one of those things. You know, our country, sometimes they can make a promise and that is it. But yesterday, they came, they gave me the voucher, I filled it, and today we were asked to come here and they gave us this.
I want to thank the government for remembering us, for the challenge that we are passing through in the nation. I have about 3 children that they are with me now, and there is challenge. I thank God because government has remembered us and they give us some support, which is full that they are benefit this money.
The program will next be flagged off in Lagos and Ogun states before extending to other states. From Abuja, Chunjoye, TV360 News.
Finance Minister ZAINAB AHMED has been highlighting details of the revised 2020 budget. The 10.52 billion budget was approved by the Federal Executive Council on Wednesday at a virtual meeting presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari. Adeshwa Odushoga has details in this report.
It's the first time the members of the Federal Executive Council will be meeting after the lockdown imposed on the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, to curb the spread of the coronavirus pandemic. Observing the social distancing directive of the World Health Organization, the meeting was presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari via teleconferencing. Briefing newsmen at the end of the FEC meeting, the Minister for Finance, Budget and National Planning, ZAINAB AHMED, announced the review of the 2020 budget of 10.52 trillion naira against the 10.59 trillion naira approved earlier.
The Council has approved our recommendation, and the approval has these key parameters. The crude oil price is approved at $25 per barrel. Crude oil production is approved at 1.94 million barrels per day, and then an exchange rate of 360 naira to $1. The revised budget is now in the total sum of 10.523 trillion, a difference of just about 71.5 billion when compared to the approved budget. This is because as we cut down the size of the budget, we also had to bring in new expenditure that were previously not budgeted to enable us adequately respond to the COVID-19 pandemic. The federal government from this budget will have a direct revenue for funding the budget of 5.158 billion. The deficit to this budget is 5.365 trillion naira, and this will be financed by both domestic as well as foreign borrowing The foreign borrowing we're doing for 2020 are all concessionary loans from the IMF, which has already progressed and has approved and has crystallized.
On his part, the Minister of Transportation, Rotimi Amechi, told newsmen that the council approved a sum of 683 million naira to acquire new vehicles for Nigeria Port Authority.
The council kindly approved a memo for the award of contract to Globe Motors Holding Nigeria Limited in the sum of 683,613,000 naira for the purchase of about 19 vehicles for MPA.
The council also approved a sum of 47 billion naira for the provision of additional 40 megawatts of electricity to the national grid, as well as a $1.2 billion to finance mechanization of agriculture in the country.
Memorandum to the FEC is to seek approval from the Executive Council for the revised estimated total cost for the augmentation of the substituting contract in the sum of 47 billion, 235 billion, 303,821 naira 90 kobo. In favor of the original contract to Ms. SS Nigeria Limited to provide additional critical power grid infrastructure for the full evacuation, delivered and utilization of 40 megawatts currently being generated from Kashimbila via Takum, Wukari, and then Yandev.
We presented a joint memo with the Federal Ministry of Finance, in which we seek the approval of a loan facility of about 950 million euro, translated probably around $1.2 billion. This loan is for the purposes of agricultural mechanization in this country that will cover about 632 local governments plus 140 processing plants. This is going to be a major revolution in the agricultural sector that we have never seen before.
The virtual meeting, first of its kind in the history of the Federal Executive Council, involved Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Bas Mustafa, and some of the cabinet ministers participating in the virtual meeting. A minute silence was observed in the honor of Abba Kyari, the late former Chief of Staff, while the Secretary General of the Federation formally announced Ibrahim Gambari as the new Chief of Staff to the President. Adeshawa Odushoga, TV360, Abuja.
Ibrahim Gambari has pledged to be loyal to President Muhammadu Buhari during his tenure as Chief of Staff to the President. Gambari said this to newsmen in Abuja when he assumed duties on Wednesday. He was formally presented at the first virtual Federal Executive Council meeting in the State House, promising to serve the President to the best of his ability. He thanks the President for his appointment, saying he will give his all to Nigeria and the President.
I thank the Almighty Allah for the opportunity and the President of the Federal Republic for giving me this opportunity to serve him and, of course, the country. Well, I have not started, so I'll find out and I don't report directly to the nation. I report to the President, and I serve him.
Gunmen have kidnapped Shuaibu Idris, Deputy Chairman of the All Progressives Congress in Kaduna State, alongside his daughter. The gunmen were said to have kidnapped them and his residence along Zaria Kaduna Road on Wednesday night. On Wednesday, there were reports of an invasion by bandits in some communities in Kajuru local government area, during which 8 persons were killed. The State Police Command said the bandits had reportedly killed about 15 persons in the same local government area barely 24 hours before then. You're still watching news now on TV360 Nigeria. We'll be right back.
James, I don't know. You need to answer your call. This. Hello?
Is this Mr. Peter? I'm calling from the NCDC. Your friend, Mr. James Okripocha, was brought in this morning and tested positive for the coronavirus. He mentioned that he had been in close contact with you.
God forbid bad thing.
Sir, I am not saying that you have the virus, but you have spent some time with him over the past 14 days, and it is better if you self-isolate immediately.
I don't know any James at all. Even only James in the Bible that I know as a good Christian.
Sir, he showed us pictures.
Now, wow. If you have come in contact with someone who has tested positive for the coronavirus, self-isolating is key to protecting those around you. Remember, viruses don't move, people do. Stopping the spread is in your hands.
This message is from the Akinfade Foundation in partnership with the National Orientation Agency with support from MacArthur Foundation.
You're welcome back. Here's Oyin Adekunle with business stories.
The Nigerian LNG Limited has awarded contracts for the engineering, procurement and construction of its major gas expansion plan called the Train 7 project. Nigeria's Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Timothy Silva, said this on a webinar on Wednesday, adding that the contract was awarded to the SCDJV consortium. The Train 7 project aims to increase NLNG's production capacity from 22 metric tons per annum to about 30 metric tons per annum and will form part of the investment of over $10 billion. Silva said the construction phase of Train 7 would commence in earnest. The NLNG is jointly owned by the federal government, represented by the NNPC, and 3 international oil companies, namely Shell, Total, and ENI. Now, it is illegal for officers of the Nigerian Customs Service to demand and collect import duty and other related charges on goods contained in passengers, personal and household belongings as long as they are not for sale. Justice John So said this in his ruling in a case filed by Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Kehinde Ogunwumiju, against the Nigerian Customs Service Board and another. The Sun said officers of the Nigerian Customs Service seized the designer laptop bag in his baggage when he arrived at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, on June 24, 2019. The court therefore ordered the Nigeria Customs Service Board to refund to the lawyer the sum of 156,955 naira 20 kobo collected as import duty and other related charges, and to also pay to the Sun the sum of 5 million naira as exemplary damages. We'll take a pause here and return with stock market review. At the end of Thursday's trading session, the Nigeria Stock Exchange closed on a positive note, gaining 0.77% to close at 23,892 basis points, and that's from 0.06% recorded previously. Similarly, the market capitalization also stood at 12.441 trillion naira, and the performance was lifted by strong gains in Nestle stocks, increasing by 4% to close at 1,040 naira per share. Dangote Cement also ended the day in the greens. Guarantee Trust Bank and Zenith, which are banking equities, equally fueled the bulls to another day of gains, today recording a combined increase of 85 kobo. On the flip side, the percentage laggards were Custodian PLC, International Breweries, WAPCO, and NEM Insurance PLC. And in summary, over 182 million shares valued at 2.3 billion naira were exchanged on the floor of the market today against 159 million shares valued at 1.5 billion naira on Wednesday. And moving on now, global markets are actually falling as U.S. unemployment surge hits 36.5 million. Nikkei is also down 1.74% today. And that's it from business. It's back to you now, Aneta.
Thanks, Oyi. Rebels loyal to Libyan military strongman Khalifa Haftar have launched a rocket attack on a main hospital in the capital, Tripoli, injuring at least 14 civilians. The Libyan army said the attack targeted Tripoli's central hospital and some civilian settlements. Libyan Health Ministry said the hospital will not be able to serve people due to the attack, so the patients will be badly affected. The rebels have, however, denied attacking the hospital. And in sports, SERIE A is targeting to return to action on June 13th, and the Italian top flight announced the provisional resumption date for the 2018 to 2019 campaign in an official statement released via their official website on Wednesday. However, the plans to restart the season next month is subject to approval from the Italian government. Italy had issued a ban on all sporting activities as the country with the Serie A season suspended since March 10th as the country battled COVID-19. And that's it. So News Now on TV360 Nigeria. Thank you for watching.